Oh no, I've become one of those people filming myself in my car. Here we are. I thought this would be a perfect moment while I'm charging my car to talk about something that came up in one of my meditation groups recently that I thought was just really, really interesting. And it's this idea that boredom is bad. And why? Why is boredom bad? And which leads to another feeling around like daydreaming. Because meditation is boring. Like, let's be real. You're sitting, standing, walking, whatever you're doing, you're either doing it very, very slowly if you're walking, or you're not moving. If you're standing, sitting, lying down, you're not moving. But you're not going to sleep. You're not taking a nap. Maybe that would be more interesting to take a nap. And we're actually cultivating this state where we let daydreaming happen. The mind wanders. It's natural. It happens. The mind wanders. And there's a lot of creative output that can happen when we let the mind wander, when we daydream. That's where like new thoughts pop in, new ideas are allowed to be birthed. Now, a lot of times it's the same thoughts you have all the time, just kind of circling around over and over on repeat. That's a big part of it too. That's part of why it gets really boring, or frustrating, or challenging. But then there's also this skill we're developing where we notice, oh yeah, my mind's wandering, or oh yeah, I'm stuck in that thought loop or habit again. And so we draw the mind back to the present moment to notice, okay, what else is happening? I'm breathing. I'm here in this moment. It's happening. Oh, and then my toe itches or a new thought pops in and off the mind goes again, wandering. Now, what's interesting is that people will describe this to me, this very cycle, and they'll say, I'm really bad at meditating. But I'm listening to them describe this cycle and I'm like, no, you're doing it. This is meditation. But I think because as kids, especially those of us before smartphones, before internet, before laptops, before all this technology was really available all the time, boredom was boring. Boredom was like, being told, like, go outside, pick up a book, find something useful to do. But as a kid, sometimes you're just bored. And sometimes there's this almost like trapped feeling of like waiting for the next thing to happen. So there's that. But then also, we're often told, stop daydreaming, stop staring out the window, stop doodling, pay attention. And now there are often legitimate reasons for that. As a classroom teacher, I've had that moment of like, oh my God, please just listen to what I'm saying so we can get through this lesson. But, there's a lot of good things that come out of staring into space. One of my favorite teachers in college, David Kapp in the University of Colorado dance program, he and I were having some meeting, some session where we were sitting and chatting about the creative process. And he said, he was like, you need time to just be able to stare into space and let your mind wander. And I've always held on to that. I thought that was really key and critical and really important. So in meditation, we let that happen. That happens. And often people will start reporting like, oh, I have all these great ideas. I need to write them down. And then we have to kind of temper that with like, well, we're still meditating. See what's still there by the end, or like, yeah, if you really need to write something down, go for it. But then maybe come back to the meditation. There's ways of doing that. But I'm more interested in this narrative around like, we get really frustrated when the mind is wandering or when there's lots of thoughts chattering, when this is what the mind does naturally. And most people are able to find a moment where they notice that happening and then they're like, oh, okay, that's happening. Like, that is the magic. That is the sweet stuff. And I'm really trying to encourage people to notice that, like, you're describing it to me, therefore you are doing it. You are able, you have the skill to notice that these things are happening in your mind, you're observing, and then you're also able to notice the present moment. Now, it might feel like a blip, it might feel very brief, it might not feel long enough, but you're still doing it. And the more we start to acknowledge and focus on like, yeah, I'm doing it, it's happening, the more the mind will be like, oh, okay, this is something we want to pay attention to, we want to be able to do more of. But you got to give yourself a little pat on the back around that feeling, because if you just skim over it, because, oh, there goes the mind again, it's wandering again, and you build in like a lot of frustration around that, the mind's just going to be like, well, I guess I'm still doing this wrong. Then we're just still beating ourselves up about it. When in fact, we're most likely experiencing meditation the way most people experience meditation, which is boring, challenging, and yet at the end of it, you might notice that your body feels better. You feel relaxed. You feel a little calmer, even if the brain is still going, even if the mind is still wandering or chattering. How's your body feel? It's a big clue. If the body starts to feel more tense, more tight, more agitated, if more distress is coming in, then that's a sign for more resources, more safety, something else maybe besides just seated meditation. So there's things to notice about what's going on physically. That maybe be a better clue than even what the mind is doing. Think about it. How do you experience boredom? Do you experience boredom in this day and age, or do you automatically pick up your phone, put on a podcast, distract yourself with social media? I mean, I do this too. I'm not saying I don't do this. I'm just saying, like, what would it be like to be bored? And to like acknowledge like, oh, wow, I'm safe enough, still enough, there's nothing happening. It's kind of cool when nothing is happening. I think most of us would like less to be happening, so maybe appreciate it when it's not happening, I guess. All right, that's it. That's all I got.